Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs. For those who've kept in touch, I appreciate it more than you know. These days, it feels like there's just not enough time, not for love, not for apologies, not even for closure. Seasons shift, and so have I. You don't have to wonder why. I just don't have any time left. Not for you. Not anymore. Picture your average suburban family. I'm the dad, name's Jason Miller, 45 years old. Got a receding hairline, still in decent shape but no six-pack. I could probably stand to drop 10 pounds. I wear contacts, never liked how I looked in glasses, and I still don't need readers, which feels like a small win these days. My wife, Melissa, is also 45. She's got a bit of a tummy, a nice full figure, which I've always liked. She's not drop-dead gorgeous, not plain either, just a regular woman who insists everyone calls her by her full name. She wears glasses, and they suit her just fine. Then there's our daughter, Brooke. She's 21 now, a college senior, and wicked smart. She's put on some weight since her high school volleyball days, but who cares? She's fiercely independent, loud and proud about women's rights, even if she still leans on us more than she'd admit. I'm the only one bringing in a paycheck these days, and money's been tight. I didn't want Brooke saddled with student loans, so she's been living at home. That hasn't stopped Melissa or Brooke from enjoying the finer things, though. I drive an old beat-up F-150, while they cruise around in flashy luxury cars. Our house doesn't have much equity left either. Melissa dipped into home equity loans to fund their lifestyle. We live in a typical suburban neighborhood, the kind where you know people well enough to wave at them but not much more. Except for the folks next door. Their daughter, Sarah, is Brooke's best friend. After Brooke started college, I felt like something was missing. She and I had been close, really close, and suddenly, she was out living her own life. Volunteering didn't fill the void. One night, sitting on the couch, I asked Melissa, "Are you happy?" "Happy with what?" she shot back. "Your life. Us. You've pulled away from me. You seem flat. Like you've lost your spark. I miss the way things used to be, with Brooke with us." She shrugged. "I guess I'm just bored." "What about me? Is there something I'm doing, or not doing?" "We're fine," she said. "I'm not complaining. Why all the questions?" "I just want you to be happy," I told her. "Maybe a counselor could help. You know, find some balance, lift your spirits a bit." "I'll think about it," she said. And that was that. 2 weeks later, Melissa started seeing a life coach once a week. I know what you might be thinking. Did I hope this would spice up our sex life? Not really. We still had our usual twice-a-week routine, nothing wild, but consistent. Is that normal? Who knows? I've never talked to anyone about it, and I don't go poking into my friends' private lives. Our neighbors to the south, Mike and Susan, are in their 60s. Mike's not much of a handyman, and Susan loves to bake, which, I'll admit, has added a few pounds to my waistline. One afternoon, I was helping Mike fix a sauna pump when I heard something that made my blood run cold. Their sliding patio door was acting up again, and they were chatting about whether Melissa was back from her mom's place. Then I heard Brooke's voice. She was out in the backyard gazebo, chatting away, totally unaware I was nearby. "He's still here. His truck's in the driveway somewhere," she said. "God, Mom, you're so out of touch. Just give Max a shot. Sarah says he's a wild one. You've been complaining about your bedroom life. Maybe this'll help spice things up." "Wait. What? You've been talking to our daughter about our sex life?" I thought. "And she's trying to hook you up with some guy?" Brooke kept going. "Dad's going hunting next weekend. I'll have Jeff invite Max over. He's scrawny, yeah, but he's into you. Sarah says he's got the perfect size." I felt like my skull was about to explode. Brooke was setting Melissa up with Jeff's friend. "Max? You don't have to do anything," she added. "But you've never tried anything like this before. Why not experiment?" That was it. I was beyond furious. The two of them, my wife and my daughter, were plotting behind my back.
And for what?
To blow up our marriage? I was shaking with rage. It's a miracle I didn't accidentally slice off a finger while working on that damn pump. The rest of the week at home was miserable. I went out of my way to be a thorn in their side, snippy with Melissa, cold toward Brooke. I spent most of my time locked in my office or hiding out in the garage. Sharpened and cleaned every power tool I owned. But I didn't cancel my hunting trip. Instead, I had someone keep an eye on things while I was gone. The report came back with pictures. Brooke, Jeff, and some skinny guy, had to be Max, walking into my house around noon on Saturday. Brooke and Jeff left by 2. Max didn't leave until 4. When I got home late Sunday, Melissa tried to be affectionate. But all I could feel was betrayal. I wasn't buying it, not for a second. Nothing was confirmed yet, but something felt off. When I got home, Melissa was sitting on the couch with her legs crossed awkwardly, leaning more to her left than usual. She looked uncomfortable. Later, in the kitchen, Brooke sealed their fate without even realizing it. She smacked Melissa on the butt, playfully, and they both burst into awkward, forced laughter, fake coughing to cover it up. My chest felt tight, but not with illness, just pure dread. For a moment, I even wondered if the hunting trip had exposed me to something serious. That night, I told Melissa I was going to crash on the living room couch. I needed space. The next morning, I told her I was going to see a doctor. I made up some story about having trouble breathing. My boss didn't question it. He told me to take whatever time I needed. The truth? I was going to fake a COVID diagnosis. That way, I could isolate for a couple of weeks without suspicion and quietly start working on my exit strategy. I had enough sick leave and vacation time saved up to carry me through to Christmas Eve dinner, our long-standing tradition. Whether I actually had COVID or not, I didn't care. I was fully vaccinated and felt fine physically. Emotionally, though, I was wrecked. And I was done pretending. I checked into an extended stay hotel. I wasn't about to live like some martyr. Funny enough, Melissa actually seemed relieved when I told her I'd be out of quarantine in time for Christmas Eve. She and Brooke kept up appearances by calling me twice a day. I kept the conversation short, pretending to be tired. The rest of my time was spent plotting revenge and preparing for a clean break, updating my will, changing emergency contacts, moving beneficiaries around. I even started apartment hunting. And that's when it really hit me, this was happening. I was going to divorce Melissa, and shove Brooke headfirst into the real world. Anger does weird things to your brain. Dark thoughts crept in, most of which would have landed me in jail. That wasn't the future I wanted. But I still wanted justice. Then I remembered a news segment about a company using escorts to bait and get rid of unwanted employees. That's when the idea hit me. I could do the same thing with Jeff, Brooke's longtime boyfriend. It was risky, but it would serve a double purpose: take down Jeff and open Brooke's eyes. She deserved it. Christmas Eve arrived, and our fake tree was lit up with blinking red, white, and green lights. Pine-scented candles filled the house with a cozy holiday smell. We all gathered around the dining room table, like we had every year for the past 23, though the first 2 were just Melissa and me, before Brooke was born. Melissa had cooked up our usual feast, and everything looked picture-perfect. Normally, we'd say a short prayer before digging in. Not this time. I stood up. It wasn't going to be a toast. It wasn't going to be cheerful. I turned to Jeff. "So, how's Heather?" His face drained of all color. Brooke snapped her head toward him, clearly confused. Jeff and Brooke had been together since high school. Everyone assumed they'd end up married. But things were about to get real. Jeff stammered. I don't know a Heather." I pressed. "You sure? Raven hair, ruby red lips, you were with her last Sunday night." Jeff looked like a deer caught in headlights. "I can't recall the name." His voice was shaky, full of guilt. That's when I pulled out my phone and played the audio clip. A male voice, his voice, was clearly audible. "Okay, Heather, you're awesome. Don't stop. God, I'm gonna come again. The room went dead silent. Brooke exploded. You lying piece of… Get out! Before Jeff could stand up, I stepped in behind him and pushed him back down into his chair. Brooke lunged at him, but I held her back. Melissa, take our daughter into the other room. Calm her down, I said, my voice low and firm. I need to talk to Junior here. Melissa grabbed Brooke and led her into the kitchen. Not quietly, though. Brooke's screaming echoed off the walls like gunfire. Jeff and I had a quick but very clear conversation. You're going to stay away from me. And you're going to tell your buddy Max to do the same. Otherwise, Max is gonna wish he never learned how to walk upright. Jeff knew exactly where he stood now. He had one last job to do for me. I called out toward the kitchen. Melissa, bring Brooke back in. They came in looking shocked and teary-eyed. I cleared my throat. Let me explain how I got that recording. Jeff, I said, turning to him. Her name's not Heather. And honestly, I don't even know her real name. She's an escort. High-end. Very expensive. Brooke's jaw dropped. Dad, what the hell? You hired her? I nodded. Yeah, I did, sweetheart, I said, looking Brooke straight in the eyes. So tell me, how's it feel? Being stabbed in the back by someone you trust? Melissa made a tiny sound, barely audible, but Brooke's eyes flicked to her mother, then quickly away. Both of them were crying now. And they had every reason to be. I turned to Jeff. You got something to say? I flipped my phone into video mode and pointed it at him. Jeff stood, picked up the manila folder in front of him, and faced Melissa. Melissa Miller, you've been served, he said, handing her the papers. For a second, I genuinely thought she might faint, or throw up. She was pale as a ghost, her hands trembling. The scent of pine cones couldn't even begin to mask the emotional gut punch that had just landed on her. While Melissa and Brooke huddled together in the master bedroom, crying and consoling each other, I got to work. Brooke's early graduation gift, a shiny new car, was loaded onto a tow truck and hauled away. All of her stuff from the car? Tossed into a trash bag and left on the front porch. Melissa's BMW? That got the boot next. But I didn't just dump her things, I moved them into a 23-year-old beater sedan. Thought it was symbolic. 1 year for each year of our now-defunct marriage. My lawyer had reminded me that I had to provide Melissa with basic transportation. Fine. With all our credit cards paid off and cancelled, I also axed Brooks. She never paid a dime on them anyway, and I was the co-signer. Took another long pull from my bourbon. Their fancy iPhones? Service cancelled. Melissa got a flip phone with limited minutes and texts. Brooke? She didn't even get that courtesy. I walked into the garage and grabbed the for sale sign I'd stashed weeks ago, planting it hard into the front yard with a few whacks of the hammer. Technically, I couldn't sell the house yet. Melissa's name was still on the deed, but the sign made the message crystal clear. While the Christmas music played in the living room by the blinking tree, I headed down to the basement. The darkness felt safe, comfortable. Up above, I could hear the chaos as they realized nothing in their world worked anymore. They called me every name in the book, none of which came close to the things I'd shouted at the walls of my hotel room while planning all of this. Trevor, we need to talk, they yelled. They thought maybe I'd gone for a walk. My car was gone, after all, but another car was parked in the driveway. One they didn't recognize. Then it dawned on them, their phones weren't working. Their credit cards dead. Their purses? Still inside. No ID, no money, nothing. I sat quietly, sipping my bourbon and smiling bitterly to myself as I shredded their driver's licenses. Yeah, it was petty. But I knew it'd sting. Eventually, they decided to go next door to see if Cindy would let them use her phone. That was their mistake. The second they left, I locked the house up tight. They were out, no phone, no wallet, no car. And they weren't getting back in. I turned on the TV and watched a few minutes of some overly cheerful holiday special. The saccharine joy on screen made me sick. I shut it off. Silence was better. When they came back, the front door rattled like crazy. Then I heard Brooke scream, "Oh my God! This is everything that was in my car! Daddy got rid of my car!" Melissa, trying to keep it together, muttered, "No, he wouldn't do that. That's not like him." Brooke wasn't having it. "Well, maybe your car's gone too, Mom. Maybe he sold that too. If he did, I swear." The doorbell started ringing every couple of seconds, making it hard to make out their full conversation. Melissa's voice rose above the chaos. "Trevor! Open this door! It's freezing out here!" I didn't move from the basement, but I yelled loud enough for them to hear. "Hey, Mitch, the keys to your new ride are in the ignition. That orange and green Malibu parked out front. That's yours now. All your stuff's been transferred over. I'm told the heater takes a while to warm up, but it's got a full tank." A pause. Then I added, "Maybe you could ask your dear Max if you can crash at his place. I'm sure he still has a soft spot for you." One of them gasped. The other muttered, "He knows." Melissa's voice softened, desperate now. "Trevor, please. Let me explain." A few seconds of silence. Then she tried again, her voice sweeter. "Trevor. I know you can hear me." Melissa called through the door. "Just say something. Merry Christmas." My only response? "You better leave, Mishy. And take your little partner in crime with you." A few minutes later, the old clunker of a Malibu sputtered to life. Sounded like the muffler was barely hanging on, but I wasn't shocked. The guy I bought it from practically gave it away. He just wanted it off his hands. No way I was pouring money into fixing it. That was her problem now. No dramatic goodbye. No tearful exit. Just the sound of the two of them, the traitors, driving off into the night. For a second, I thought about carbon monoxide poisoning and how rare it is these days. Maybe I'd get lucky. But probably not. About an hour later, my phone lit up with a call from Melissa's dad. We were never close, barely even civil, but I figured I'd let it go to voicemail. I wasn't in the mood. His message was short. "Hey Trevor, I've got a couple of upset ladies here. Thought you might be able to shed some light on the situation. Give me a call. And, Merry Christmas." I muted my phone, took a long sip of my spiked eggnog, and let the adrenaline that had been keeping me wired slowly fade. The blinking lights from the fake tree eventually lulled me to sleep. The sun was out that cold Christmas morning, bright but offering no warmth. The dining room table was still covered in last night's dishes, but I wasn't about to let that stop me. The microwave did a fine job heating up some ham and cheesy potatoes. Honestly, that combo works any time of year. There were still wrapped gifts under the tree, but none from or for me. I hadn't given them anything. Didn't even pretend. And I didn't open the gifts they left either. Instead, I went through the house and gathered up my most valued belongings. Not a single photo of the family made the cut. Those had already been tossed to the ground, scattered like ash from a fire I didn't feel like putting out. It took a few days, but Melissa finally tracked me down at the hotel. The sun had just gone down, and a bitter wind was whipping outside. When I opened the door, left the latch on, just in case, I half expected some kid selling fundraiser popcorn or candy bars. But no. It was her. No makeup, no styled hair. Just Melissa. Pale and desperate. "Trevor, please," she begged. "Don't close the door." I didn't shut it. But I didn't open it any wider either. "What do you want, Mishy?" I asked flatly. "I just need a chance to explain," she said. "Can I come in?" "No," I said firmly. "Please, Trevor. The neighbors don't need to hear all this." I stared at her. "Which part of no do you not understand? I'd be happy to spell it out for you." She sighed. "Okay, let me start by saying how sorry I am. I can't explain what I did." "What did you do exactly?" I asked. "Let's hear it." She hesitated, glancing down. "Please, not out here. Just let me in so we can talk about it." Then she said it, softly. I was intimate with Max. I laughed, cold and sharp. Well, I'll be damned. So it's true. Her eyes went wide. I kept going. You didn't know I knew? Guess what, I suspected. But now I've got confirmation. She tried to change the subject. Wait, you were planning to divorce me, without proof? I shrugged. Looks like I guessed right, didn't I? Found an attorney yet? I'm working on it, she said quickly. But we don't have to get divorced. I'll do anything to fix this, Trevor. Anything. A little late for that, I said. Why didn't you want to save our marriage a month ago, Mishy? I'll tell you why. Because you thought you were untouchable. That you could do whatever the hell you wanted without consequences. Her face crumpled. Did you come clean a day later? A week? Did you tell me at all? I snapped. And how many others have there been, huh? That was the only time. She whispered. You have to believe me. It was one stupid decision. Don't let it destroy us. One stupid decision? I shot back. I count more than one. Planning it? That's a choice. Going through with it? That's a betrayal. Lying about it afterward? That's the nail in the coffin. I stepped closer to the door, voice low and bitter. But the worst part was dragging our daughter into it. You let her be part of your lies. I want nothing to do with her anymore. And that's all on you. She flinched like I'd hit her. If you just kept your dirty secrets to yourself, maybe she wouldn't have been involved. But no. You brought her into this mess. You destroyed more than just a marriage, Mishy. Some of the neighbors were probably watching from their windows, enjoying the show. I didn't care. I said I was sorry, she cried. Tell me how I can make it right. You can't, I said. Maybe I'll be better off without you. Maybe not. But at least it'll be on my terms. We're done. Get that through your head. Trevor, please. I know you're hurt. You're angry. But don't do anything rash. Please. Just give me a couple of weeks. It was just one afternoon. And now it's over, I replied. You want to convince me? Leave. And don't ever come back. I started closing the door. Now if you'll excuse me, halftime's over. The bowl game's back on. Thanks for stopping by. I shut the door. Melissa stayed out there for a while, knocking and softly begging. But my noise-canceling headphones did their job. Eventually, I didn't hear her anymore. I don't know how long she stayed out there, but by morning, she was gone. 11 months later, I found myself in my small one-bedroom apartment, continuing our old Christmas Eve tradition, but this time, I was alone. And that was by choice. I made a simple dinner, nothing fancy, just something I cooked myself. I'd gotten decent in the kitchen by then. Funny how betrayal breaks more than your heart. It shattered my pride, my confidence, my ego, but somehow, my self-respect survived. There were nights I wondered if I'd overreacted. Not once did I land on yes. I'd become disposable to the people who were supposed to love me. So I walked away. Case closed. Those first few months in divorce limbo were hell. I felt like a hollowed-out version of myself. Irritable. Bitter. My boss even had to pull me aside once after I snapped at a coworker. As time dragged on, I pulled further and further into myself. Stopped showing up at social events. My coworkers kept their distance. I poured everything into my work and left right after. No office parties. No watercolor chats. A few friends tried to set me up with someone new. I turned down every one of them until they eventually stopped asking. I wore my loneliness like armor. I took up running, part therapy, part escape. With earbuds in, no one approached me. I cooked for myself, ran until I couldn't think, and dropped so much weight that none of my old clothes fit. A few coworkers complimented the change, but it never went beyond that. The divorce dragged on for 9 months. The house sold fast, though. Melissa didn't get monthly support, but she walked away with a decent chunk from the sale. That was her half. Brooke and Jeff broke up. Jeff blamed me for setting him up with Heather. Of course. It's always someone else's fault. I wasn't with Heather. He was. He got caught. That's on him. Just another weak man who caved to temptation. Brooke left me some angry voicemails in the months after. I never called her back. Maybe one day I will, but don't hold your breath. I didn't go to her graduation. Didn't get invited either. Melissa struggled more than I expected. She hadn't had a full-time job since we got married. My attorney delayed the financial stuff as long as the court allowed. Once the house sold and everything was finalized, I paid off what the court said she should have been getting in maintenance. Her cushy lifestyle was over. Mine too. Melissa cried a few times during our attorney meetings. Told me how foolish she'd been. I just sat there stone-faced. Hate's a hell of a drug. I couldn't shake it, even when I wanted to. 12 months to the day, I kept the Christmas Eve tradition going. Only this time, I wasn't entirely alone. Macy, a friend I'd met through a divorce support group, came by. She'd gone through her own hell, and we bonded over it. No, we weren't dating, just two broken people who understood each other. After dinner, she led me to the center of the room and we danced. Close. For a few songs, it felt nice, the warmth of someone leaning into you, no expectations, no history. Then she wiped away a tear, gave me a soft smile, and left. Just like that. We were both still too damaged to be anything more. Brooke's voicemails changed. Less rage. More regret. She left one about once a month, and each one sounded a little softer. A little sadder. I still never called her back. Then, in late January, I got a letter. Handwritten. From Brooke. I debated opening it for a long time. But eventually, curiosity won out. Inside was a short note and a photo. A selfie. Daddy, I'm sorry for what I did. I know I hurt you. As you can see from the picture, I'm pregnant. I was wondering if there's any chance you'd want to be part of your grandchild's life. If not, I understand. Love, Brooke. The return address was in a different county, far from where we used to live. No mention of a husband in the picture. I didn't know what to feel. Anger. Sadness. A strange kind of longing. I'd always wanted to be a grandfather. But did that make up for what she'd done? I didn't reply right away. I needed time. Not long after that, Macy and I went our separate ways. We both knew we weren't meant to be anything permanent. She moved far away to start fresh. A few long hugs, a few quiet tears, and she was gone from my life. To keep myself from spiraling, I picked up pickleball at the local rec center. It's like tennis, but with different rules, more forgiving, more social. I eventually found a group I could hang with. It reminded me a little of junior high, awkward, but familiar. One afternoon, during a game, I accidentally smacked the ball right into Shannon, one of the other players. Her friends laughed and teased her. Hey Jason, one of them joked. You gonna kiss it better? I blew Shannon a few playful kisses. Later, as we were leaving, she smiled at me and said, You owe me a soft drink for that one. I was pretty quiet, shy even. But Shannon and I walked over to a nearby Jamba Juice and kept chatting. Turns out she was a natural conversationalist, totally opposite of me. Eventually, she asked, So, are you seeing anyone? I hesitated. No, I'm not. And honestly, I'm not sure if I ever will again. Shannon tilted her head. What happened? Did she pass away or? I shook my head. No. She cheated on me. And I either couldn't accept it, or wouldn't. It's been a few years now, and I guess I'm still not over it. She paused, then said, What about you? Are you dating anyone? I gave a short laugh. Nope. I've been on a few dates, but that's about it. When was the last time you were on a real date? She asked. I turned the question back on her. You first. She smiled wistfully. Well, since we separated, I haven't really had a proper date. Had a couple dinners at home with friends, but that's it. When did your marriage end? December. 2 Christmases ago. Kinda sad, huh? Not really, I reassured her. When my ex dumped me for a younger guy, it took me years to even think about dating again. That whole conversation had my palms sweating. Shannon noticed. Let's change the subject, she said gently. Why'd you start playing pickleball? I smiled. Same reason. My self-pity was getting old. I needed something to pull me out of the fog. Same here, she said. I bought a paddle and just started showing up. It's helped me open up. Well, I've gotta run, she added. I'm playing again tomorrow at 4. Nice chatting with you, I said. You too, Trevor. Hang in there. Things will get better. That night I felt okay. Okay enough, in fact, to respond to Brooke's letter. Brooke, I'm willing to try. You and I may never be close again, but I'd like to meet my grandchild. Let me know when the time feels right. Just know, under no circumstances will I be in the same room as your mother. She hadn't responded yet, but judging from her picture, I figured a May or June due date. The next day at pickleball, Shannon was noticeably more flirtatious, and so were a few of the other women. It felt good. After I hit a killer shot, Shannon called out, You know, Trevor, you look really good in that shirt, but I'd bet you look even better out of it. The group burst into laughter, and my face went red. I fired back. Funny you say that, Shannon. I was just thinking the same about your yoga pants. The ladies roared. Shannon turned bright red as they chanted, Take it off! Take it off! So I did, my shirt anyway. Shannon shook her head, wagging her finger at me like I was in trouble. A couple of women whistled. I slipped my shirt back on and blew Shannon a kiss. She mouthed, You're terrible. After the games, we were all still giggling. One of the ladies joked about looking even better out of her yoga pants. Shannon waited her turn, and I started up a casual chat with her again. Eventually, she asked if I'd buy her a soft drink. I smiled. I was just about to ask you. Nice yoga pants, huh? She teased. You feeling proud of yourself now? We sat together, sipping our drinks, and I finally worked up the nerve to ask her out for dinner and a movie. She said yes. It had been over 27 years since I'd gone on a real date. I was clueless, awkward, scared out of my mind. But little by little I relaxed. The old me, the one who used to crack jokes and smile for real, started to come back. After a few more dates, Shannon invited me to stay the night. One evening, while we lay tangled up in the warmth of each other, she asked me quietly, When we're like this, who are you thinking about? That caught me off guard. I paused, took a breath. I'm thinking about you, I said. And wondering what you see in someone like me. She smiled softly. A mirror reflection, she said. With time, our passion deepened. She introduced me to her family and grandkids, not easy, considering how protective they were. But eventually, they accepted me. In early June, Shannon snuggled up close to me in bed, her voice a whisper. Let's celebrate us, she murmured. And in that moment, I realized I was finally ready to stop surviving and start living again. I knew exactly what Shannon meant. Lying there next to her, I told her about something I hadn't shared yet. Brooke had given birth to a baby girl 2 days ago. Our passion stirred again, and this time, it was deeper. Slower. More intimate. We made love, not out of lust or loneliness, but out of something that finally felt like healing. The next morning, I sent a bouquet of flowers to Brooke, congratulating her on becoming a mother. The day after that, I received an overnight letter from her. Handwritten. Honest. She apologized, sincerely, for everything. She said she finally understood the lessons I'd tried to teach her. She wrote about how much she changed. She talked about her daughter, Bonnie, and the possibility of rebuilding what we had lost. She wanted me to be part of their lives. I showed the letter to Shannon. She read it carefully, then looked up at me with kind eyes. She sounds sincere, she said. What do you want to do? I hesitated. I'm worried it'll affect us. I don't want to jeopardize what we have. Shannon smiled softly, pulled me into a warm hug, and kissed me gently. Let go of the past, she said, so we can have a future. With her support, I found the courage to go see Brooke. I knocked on her door, and when she opened it, her face went pale with surprise. Then she smiled. We hugged, one of those soft, cheek-to-cheek embraces that says more than words. She invited me in. I held Bonnie in my arms for the first time. She didn't cry. Just looked up at me with those tiny, curious eyes. Her little hands, her little feet, it all came flooding back. I hadn't realized how much I'd missed that feeling. Shannon, ever the gentle soul, asked about Brooke's relationship status. Brooke explained that Bonnie's father had backed away. Said he wasn't ready to be a real dad. Wasn't ready to commit. That night, we kept a respectful distance, tentative, cautious. There was warmth, but still a lot of space between us. As we were leaving, Shannon leaned in and whispered, You should tell her. Just say it. So I turned back. Walked up to Brooke, pulled her into a real hug this time, and whispered in her ear, I still love you. 6 months and some change later, we had our Christmas Eve dinner at my apartment. Me, Shannon, Brooke, and baby Bonnie, sitting right in the middle of it all. I said the blessing before dinner. Our own little tradition. We exchanged gifts, we laughed, we ate until we couldn't move. It wasn't perfect. But it felt right. That night, Shannon and I stayed at her place. Something about it just felt different. Like we'd taken another step forward. A year later, Christmas Eve was at Shannon's house. Same people. More laughter. More memories. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I looked around and realized. I was at peace. My life hadn't gone the way I planned. Not even close. But somehow, I'd found my way back. Not to the past, but to something better. Something real. Something I could call my own.